Hi, I'm David from Levika Photography, and today I want to talk to you guys about lens adapters. Now, a lot of you out there have Sony A6000s or a micro four thirds camera like an Olympus or Panasonic or Samsung, whatever. This is where APS-C size gets really cool. Now, I shoot with an A7R in the studio, but when I'm out and about, or if I'm doing product work, I prefer the a6000. And the reason why is because I can use old lenses, but it opens up more creativity than it does with the a7R. So, perfect example. This is one of my favorite lenses here. This is a 24mm Nikon f2.8. Now, when you put that lens on a standard hollow adapter, on the Sony A6000, and this is not an expensive lens. You can pick these things up for like 60 bucks. I think I probably paid 130 for this one 10 years ago. But the beauty of this lens is when it's on here with this, it's extremely sharp. Everything registers very well. I really prefer old school lenses for one thing. Lens manufacturing nowadays has kind of gone downhill, in my opinion. We see a lot better glass, but along with all this glass that's coming out, it now has software that corrects everything. And then you have cheaper glass with high-end names on it with software that corrects everything. That drives me nuts. Why not just make a good lens and get it over with? So I go back to my Nikon lenses. And I love my manual focus lenses. When you use a camera like this with peak focusing, it makes life so easy. I mean, this is easier than using a view camera. But anyway, really quick, this is the equivalent of 38mm, 40mm basically, with this adapter. Now, if I just have this one lens in my bag, but I've got these 3 adapters here, I can do the hollow adapter and make it 38. Or I can do the focal reducer / turbo booster and pop that on there and make it 24. And this actually meters 2/3 of a stop brighter than it does on the A7R. So that's kind of cool. And it gives you the same shallow depth of field as the A7R. So for portrait work, this is just awesome. I mean, you're out in the field, you got this little tiny camera, everything's so easy to pack in your bag, and if I have just 2 lenses, I've got 4 different focal lengths plus some creativity options. Okay, so if we take that off there, then we go to this adapter. Now, the other thing I want to mention is notice how this adapter has this mount. If you use telephoto lenses, make sure that you buy a regular adapter that has this kind of mount because of the pressure that it puts on the camera body with a really long, like I have a Nikon 180mm f2.8 lens. It's just a tank because there's a lot of glass and metal, and it sticks out this far. If you get this adapter, it takes the weight off of the body and makes it a lot more stable. But anyway, this adapter. Okay, so you take this 24mm lens. Let me just pop that on there. And then you take this adapter, and what it does is this gives you a range of motion, full tilting capability. And on an APS-C size camera versus a full frame, with a full frame you don't get the movement. You don't have the image circle on the inside. Whereas on this camera you do. You can move it all around and do all kinds of cool stuff with it. You can tilt it 8 degrees up. And if you're doing portraits and you're tilting the lens up slightly, this is a trick that we learned a long time ago from view cameras, is you can shoot 1 stop brighter by tilting the lens back and having a really shallow depth of field. And that allows you to save some lighting for film. And if you tilt down, it creates a deeper depth of field and actually makes it 1 stop darker. And if you go to the sides, it still meters the same, but it changes the depth of field. So if I have this all the way open and I'm shooting let's say, somebody walking down the street, I can make it look blurrier on the sides just by tilting the lens and shooting them straight on. That's a huge advantage over a full frame camera. This just brings up so many creative possibilities. And if you guys ever actually look at my fine art photography, you'll see me use a lot of this all over the place. But anyway, with that gives you a 24 millimeter that can be the equivalent of 38. And then I have this 55 millimeter Nikon micro. And to me, this is the best lens ever made on the planet. It's perfect flat field. It's razor sharp, wide open, and it's super sharp all the way to f/22, and then it becomes kind of soft at f/32. That's just unheard of for a lot of lenses. And this lens with these adapters, I can do portrait work, or I can put the focal reducer on here and do group shots. I can do just headshots with this adapter and make it an 87 millimeter lens, or that's all the possibilities of doing this. So these three adapters are really the key to this camera, and what this allows you to do is just become more creative. It allows you to open up the ideas of composition more. Whereas with the A7R, I can use this adapter, the solid one, and that's pretty much it. Or I can use a tilt adapter with a medium format lens for movement. But the biggest problem is the tilt adapters for 35 millimeter to medium format, for one, are 10 times more than this. I think this cost me like $25, and those cost $300 and something. And then if you're going to be doing medium format, you want to use Hasselblad glass, because Kiev lenses have all kinds of issues when you tilt and shift. And they do make shift adapters too, ones that actually tilt and shift. And you can use those with 35 millimeter on here. Now you can really actually only shift 5 degrees. That's why I only carry this one. But with these three adapters, that opens up a bunch of creativity. And really quick, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Isn't he cute? Oh, he's so sweet. So today this is our model. And this is a Borg baby created by an artist, Alexei de Villiers. And he actually feeds homeless people on the weekends. And then from the empty cans, he makes these robots to sell. That way he can keep feeding people. So this is actually my robot that I keep here in the studio. And he's just purely decoration, but highly entertaining. So we're going to use him as our subject, since I don't have a live model running around. But I'll go through some of these. That way you can actually see what they do on the camera with live video. Okay, so here is the 24 millimeter mounted on the FATCA hollow adapter, and it's the equivalent of 38 millimeter. Alright, so let's switch this up here. And this is wide open at f2.8. Notice the background. Alright, the cool thing about this camera too is you can actually change lenses while recording video. Alright, so I'm going to pop this on here. Okay, so here's the same lens on the focal reducer slash turbo booster, and right now we are actually at f4. Let me brighten it up there. Let me make sure that we're focused in, which it looks like we are right on the money. Okay, so you can see now this is wider, and this is actually 24 millimeter, and I had to stop it down a little bit. And we're wide open at f2.8, but I changed the shutter speed to 100. So, there's an option. Alright, so now let me go to the other adapter, the tilt adapter, and we'll have a little bit of fun with that. Alright, so now we've got the tilt adapter on here with the same lens, the 24 millimeter f2.8. And let me get focused in. Now, here's what I'm talking about. You can tilt up And notice the background and what we just did to him, where you can tilt down and notice the background now, how it's in focus. Now we go sideways and we can roll through the focus, or we can go to the other side and do the same thing, or it's just a great way to make a quick transition for video. I kind of like that. Alright, really quick, we're going to do the same thing with the 50mm. Actually, I got to take this whole thing off the camera. Alright, so here is the 50mm. Actually 55mm. Let me move back a little bit. And what this does now is it creates more of a depth of field. I want to make sure I'm completely in focus here. There we go. Okay. So we're back to normal here. Now, this on the camera with the hollow adapter is the equivalent of 87mm. Alright. Now the turbo. Alright, so here's the turbo booster. And now, let me focus him in perfectly. You'll notice that everything's brighter, and this is actually at 55mm. And this is what I'm talking about. These focal reducers make great portrait lenses, or they help your lens become a great portrait lens. Alright, so with that, let's check out the tilt on here. Alright, now we're all locked in. Okay, so here we go. With the tilt adapter, again, if we go side to side or if we go up, notice how it gets a little bit brighter. If we go down, and really just kind of a nice effect. Alright, so there you go. That's what I wanted to talk about. The 3 adapters that can really make a differC on APS-C size mirrorless cameras. You guys have a good day.